Hello everyone. This is IMG Research Academy now Global Research Initiative. It's a collection of physicians from across the world who come together to see how we can put our heads together to produce clinical research. We look at health factors or indices that is going to help our patient get better, and we also put our heads together to see how we can grow as a community in our career trajectory. We talk all things research. Today, we're going to give a little pep talk. We usually give this little 5 minutes pep talks on improving on our research methodology, writing, understanding, and knowledge, or every other aspect of research. And cumulatively, these pep talks has helped us over the years. In writing a research, there's little moving parts that every researcher needs to learn. Amongst the gazillions of the moving part, one of them is understanding what is plagiarism. Um, so I'm going to give this talk today on avoiding plagiarism in research. Once again, my name is Dr. Okelue Okobi. I'm a family physician in training in the US. Um, so why why did I choose to give this talk? As a group, I've noticed a rising case of plagiarism, especially as new people are joining us. Um, they kind of copy and paste because we work in groups of like 10 or 5 or 12, depending on whatever research project we are doing. We divide ourselves, and the new people join. They don't know how to, bring in their academic contribution per ICGMA guideline, and then they just copy and paste, and that has increased our plagiarism percentage. And you know, rising cases of plagiarism or copy and paste will damage our reputation over time. We reduce our chances of future acceptance and publication, and also we also reduce your chances of growth as a researcher in this field. So today I'm going to just give a very simple perhaps 5, 6, 7 minutes talk on plagiarism. Let's just dive deep into what plagiarism is. The definition is out there. I need everybody to get their own different definitions and also add to the later that I've already said. But basically, using someone else's idea, words, without giving credit to the person is plagiarism. Either you're using the person's words, image, table, figure, video, media, or quotation without actually crediting the person is plagiarism. Another aspect of plagiarism that I've also seen is people copy and paste. So when we're creating our manual for our research paper, either we're doing our preliminary analysis or preliminary drafts or the final draft, we assign roles to each person, and we notice that some people just go copy from another source and just dump it in the main source. All right, that's copied text, and sometimes they don't paraphrase it, or they don't rephrase it, or they don't even add citations. All right, or they paraphrase it and it's just too close. And this models the whole research flow and research paper that we're doing. So why do people do this? I feel from my perspective, leading people over the years, that some of them are new. They don't understand what plagiarism is all about. Most of the time, people also they fear writing. They fear writing, or they just want to appear perfect in their writing, right? Because they read other perfect papers, especially as journalists write, it sounds so clean. They want to write like that. Other reasons I've seen is either they are under pressure, they want to publish this paper within 3 months or 3 weeks or 3 days, right? There's a looming deadline that's coming, application is coming, everybody's rushing. So these are common reasons I've seen. Another reason is low confidence. They fear that, especially that comes with, the fear to impress or the urge to impress people. They fear that, or whatever we're writing, English is not our language, so it's not going to come out that scholarly the way, for example, ChatGPT does it, or the way most of these AI do it. You know, And also, some people have a misunderstanding of what it is to actually contribute to academic paper. So here's what we're saying in general, right? Uh, when you're adding your contribution to a project, to a group project or your personal project, you can get your sources from references. After all, nobody owns an original idea, or very few people own original ideas. Yes, you can get from your references to build your paper, but ensure that one, you try to paraphrase it, put it in your own words, and also cite that paper and then reference it. And this is what you need to do. The steps, I've created some few steps. Let's say you were assigned to write the introduction or the discussion or a paragraph in the discussion. First, read the original, the draft, the preliminary draft of the team's work to understand it. Then secondly, the source that you want to use to add your own contribution. Let's say they assigned you to talk about the epidemiology of cardiovascular diseases in the American population. Go read about it and then understand it. Close the tabs. Put it in your own word, like as if you're explaining it to like a 6-year-old child or a 9-year-old child or 11th grader or a 9th grader, right? And then write it out in very simple terms. Don't try to impress anybody. Don't try to sound fanciful. Don't try to sound technical, right? Just put it in a simple way. The incidence of cardiovascular disease in the American population, especially people that are 65 years and above, is XYZ. And then just copy it then and paste. Please cite the original source that you got it, and then also add your reference to the reference section. That way you would have paraphrased, you would have cited, and you would have added a reference. But the habit of just copy and then paste, it's so horrible. There are some citations that require you to copy and paste. You can also put quotation mark. You could say very simple things like per John et al. Or according to John et al. In 2023 in a research done by John et al. There's some introductory phrases that you can use to cite people and give people proper credit for their work. Okay. um, there are different types of citations patterns. You could use square bracket, you could use APA style, you could use AMA style, Vancouver. Please familiarize yourself with these types of citation. That doesn't fall under the scope of this particular talk, as I want to keep this talk very short. So depending on whatever citation pattern or citation style that your group is using, please use that style. And then there are so many citation tools that are out there that you can also use, softwares that help people to pattern their citation. But before you use softwares, understand how to write a paper first. Put it in a very simple way. Don't try to impress people and just leave it like that. Now in the advanced stage, you can now use some software, especially in this 2025, where there are a lot of softwares like Grammarly, like Quillbot, like so many AIs that you could use out there to now say, okay, make this my idea, or not your idea, make this paraphrase work, convert it to a formal style, and then Grammarly will do it neatly. Quillbot will also do it, and so many other ones that I wouldn't mention because of time. And then use them to now bring it off so finely in the way that you think is going to look professional. But first and foremost, do it in a very your own style, your own originality, your own words, right? Rephrasing your own words, cite it, put a reference, and then you can now use those advanced tools to modify it and make it look better. All right. If you want to lift somebody's exact word to word, you can also put it in quotation form and add citation at the end of the day. So I've listed some tools that you can use to help modify if you're too scared that your language is very diluted or you might not be passing across a point the way you want it to pass. You could use these tools. And then most journals also require you to also do a disclaimer that you used an AI in rephrasing your terminologies or your statement. At the end of the entire draft manuscript, please don't forget to do a plagiarism check, because there are acceptable scores and non-acceptable scores for plagiarism. And it varies depending on the school, depending on your supervisor, depending on the manuscript, depending on the journal that you want to submit it. Okay, some people accept less than 15%, some people accept less than 3%, others accept less than 25%. It all depends on, it all varies. Ensure that you figure out what is a plagiarism acceptance score for the journal that you want to submit before you eventually submit that paper, because you are at risk of rejection, you're at risk of ban, you're at risk of, it looks very, very poor on you actually, when you don't do these things. So for us as a group, we make it a law: before we submit any paper, that paper has to go through plagiarism check. It is mandatory. We subscribe heavily, make sure that that is done as a group. And then don't forget to add references. Use referencing softwares or referencing tools like Zotero, EndNote. Even Microsoft Word can also help you do a lot of references. We're going to teach reference in another 10 minutes class, but we've done this in previous years in the past. Again, if you don't know what to do, it's okay to ask for help. There are a lot of writers in our community, a lot of people who know how to write. Reach out, say, hey, how do I do this and how don't I do this? Run it with your team leader, because we have little teams that are working in different groups, over 40 subgroups currently working. You can also reach out to me with an email, or just send me a WhatsApp message or text me. I'm always ready to clarify how you can do these particular things. If we don't, if we keep plagiarizing our papers, or we don't do the right thing, we're at risk of retraction or at risk of ban from the journals, and to also damage our credibility. And we've managed to keep our credibility, or we've tried to work so hard to keep our credibility to where we are. We don't want it to suffer further damages. So everyone that is in every subgroup, please watch this video and ensure that you don't copy and paste, you cite appropriately. And whenever you're adding your version of your role, or the academic role that you want to do, ensure that you add it in the right place. Don't go and add something that should be in introduction and add it in discussion. Don't go and add something that will be the mid piece of the discussion and add it at the end piece of the discussion. Don't take the conclusion and bring it to introduction, right? That's why I encourage everyone to please read the flow of the draft that other people are contributing, because you are working as a group, multiple people are contributing as a group. Read their flow, your assignment, see where will be the most appropriate place to add it, and then add it there as suggest edit, so that we that are behind the scene will see it and then figure out if this your idea is flowing, if it's plagiarized or not plagiarized, does it need to be where it is or where it's not supposed to be, and other things that we check. Does it fall into the objective of the paper, or is it just taking us to the west instead of going to the south, and so many other things that that we look at before we approve your contribution to the team. Once again, don't aim to be perfect. Growth is a gradual process, but continue growing. Don't fall. Just be your authentic self, right? As you do it more and more, you keep improving. Practice, practice, practice. Review, get feedbacks, rewrite. And don't forget, these days that we have a lot of tools that can help us, use those tools. Avoid shortcuts. Dedicate a time in the night that you can use to do your research contribution. If you truly think that research is going to help your career trajectory, or is going to help that patient, dedicate a time, focus, and do it. For me as a person, I get my inspiration either when I'm attending to a patient, or when I'm driving, or in the middle of the night like this. I just wake up to do something on my research papers. Those are where I get my ideas. Okay, thank you everyone for listening to this short piece, and I hope you enjoyed it and you've learned from it. If you have questions to ask, please reach out to me through our email, imgresearchconsortium@gmail.com. You can also reach out to me directly, or we are also looking for volunteers that will also teach micro pieces, so these different moving parts of research that eventually makes you, a good researcher. Thank you, everyone. This is May 2025, and God bless.